Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Hello, happy Tuesday. Today I want to talk about acceptance. And I heard something the other day that I was like, I don't know that I've thought about acceptance from this perspective. So I figured I'd talk through it. But before I do, I didn't record yesterday because I had a friend visiting for a couple days, and so I just needed to recover yesterday. Today at 10:30, I am going to a Reiki practitioner. That's right, a Reiki practitioner. So I'm pretty skeptical about it. I feel kind of like, you just stand there over top of me. I don't know. I read about it, but I'm keeping an open mind, and I got a like 60-minute free gift card to do this Reiki thing. And I was chosen as the recipient because of my health condition and all that stuff. So we'll see. I'm just going to try it. If nothing else, it's going to be 60 minutes of me just laying there listening to some calming music, I suppose. We will see, and I will report back. I will certainly report back. So that's what's been going on. So acceptance versus being taken advantage of. This is what I heard in the meeting. And I thought, well, that's interesting, being taken advantage of. I get it. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because recovery has taught me about acceptance. Um, it it has increased my tolerance for stuff in life that sucks, I guess. Um, but what it doesn't mean is that I necessarily have to like all the things that suck. It teaches me patience. It teaches me how to let go. It teaches me how to be more understanding of others. Um, but this idea of acceptance versus being taken advantage of stood out to me because I thought, yeah, like when I think about that, does that mean that people think that if I can't change people, places, and things. Um, if I accept the way that everybody else behaves who's not in a program, then I feel like, I've got limitations, but everybody else can act however the hell they want to. But that's not what it is. Like, acceptance with boundaries. Acceptance is not ignoring our boundaries. Like, I still need to stand up for myself, and that can be very uncomfortable for me. So, what acceptance really means in my recovery is accepting people as they are. Accepting, and what I mean by that is accepting people, um, that accepting other people's experiences and history that has made them into who they are. I can't change that. I can't change what made this person be a complete ass. You know what I mean? And there are people I've run across that are just like, you're a terrible person. Um, and my friend and I over her visit, we touched on a couple of those people that we've known in our lives that were just like, you're a terrible person. Well, there's nothing I can do about that. And I remember thinking like back before I really grasped this idea of not being able to change people, I guess fighting it. It's once again back to the squeezing my fists and holding on to nothing. No matter how hard I squeeze, I'm not changing anything outside of my fingertips. So accepting people as they are, accepting situations that I can't control, like my, the fact that I'm an alcoholic, the fact that I had a stroke, the fact that I'm disabled, and the disability itself. I have to accept it. I don't have to like it. I just need to accept it. And when the kids were young, we're talking like middle school, elementary school. If I put vegetables or something they didn't like I knew they didn't like on their plate, I told them, you don't have to like it, you just have to eat it. Because they would say, well, I don't like peas or something like that. And I would say, I'm not, I mean, I'm not asking you to like it. I'm just asking you to put it in your mouth. Those are two different things. That's what acceptance is. I'm not, I don't have to like it. I just have to put it in my mouth. Sounds terrible. Um, Life is unfair a lot. And when I stop fighting the stuff that's unfair and recognize, like, stop arguing with what already is, um, it doesn't mean I have to like what is, but I do need to let go of the idea that I can't change what is. And I need to stop trying. So I need to participate in my life between my ears and work these tools of my program. It's really funny to me that these 12 steps, when I first was introduced to them, were so basic. They were just these sentences that ended in a period for each step. And I read them and they were like terrifying to me. What do you mean? I have to talk to people? I have to fix things that went wrong in my life? I need to believe in God. I need to, that's what these steps say is so much more than the words that were printed on the big poster board in the front of the room. And the only way that I can understand them and implement them in my life is to read the big book and read the 12 and 12, because that explains what all those little tiny sentences mean. So the steps led me to understanding a little more, not only about acceptance, but about my tendencies when it comes to acceptance. What are the habits um, that I have when I'm fighting reality? Um, I can accept reality and still not like it. Okay, I've already said that, but have my boundaries. I can still accept someone's behavior and say, that crosses a boundary for me. You can continue to be whoever you are, but I'm not going to participate in that behavior. It crosses my boundary. So acceptance still needs to have, for me, acceptance still needs to have these definitive edges. Um, I can still love somebody and care about somebody, but not enable them and feel like it's my job to rescue them. I can understand people's perspectives, but still protect my own serenity. I was just telling who was I talking to? Oh, my friend. I was talking about social media, and there are people that I've been friends with for years that I just absolutely adore, that I have always felt like are just quiet people who aren't disruptive and go with the flow. I mean, these are some of the reasons why I've been friends with them over the years. And then I'll see that person post something on Facebook that I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, who are you? Why are you so upset? Of course, it's about all of the things that everybody's in turmoil about lately. Um, but I'm just like, who's the relaxed person that I know? Where did you go? And what I said to my friend is that pushes up against one of my boundaries. Like I wouldn't be hanging out in person with this person who just posted this, and there's been lots of them. This hasn't just occurred once, but I wouldn't be hanging out and going out to lunch with this person who posted this and get on the topic that the person posted about. It's a boundary for me. It's something that I don't think, let's just call it politics, okay? Because it's pretty obvious that that's what I'm talking about. Um, but it could be anything, but we're going to call it politics is the easiest thing to reference right now. So I wouldn't sit at a table and talk politics to someone that I don't know what they think. I don't know if they agree with me about politics. They could be on the completely other end of the spectrum as far as politics go, which is that doesn't close off communication about it. That's important that we are able to share our opposite views about politics. But that I would not continue to sit there and have somebody talk to me about their view in politics in the manner in which it is posted. And I think, why do we just not have these boundaries on social media? My belief is that because we're hiding behind a screen. Um, so my point is that I approach social media with those boundaries and acceptance. I don't get upset when somebody posts something that I disagree with and they post it in a manner that is, we'll say disruptive or confrontational. That's a good word. I'm not changing my opinion of who they are. I mean, I'm surprised, but when I see it, I think, okay, this is not a topic that I want to engage with this person about. I don't even read the whole post, honestly. I just say to myself, okay, I understand that you have the freedom to say this. I just don't want to add that confrontation into my life. You know, I love you. But what you're talking about is something that, again, I don't want to participate in. I accept your decision to post stuff about this, but I don't have to participate. Those are my healthy boundaries. And then I move on. And by that, I mean, if that person wanted to come visit me, absolutely 100%, I would still engage with them, hang out with them, go to lunch with them, and stuff like that. But I would absolutely continue to set those boundaries. So I'm accepting them in that way. I'm accepting them for who they are and whatever beliefs they have, whatever led them, their experiences, whatever led them to where they are to have those opinions. But I'm just not participating in those opinions. Some people like to have those kinds of conversations. I don't. I don't what's the word? I don't feel like I thrive in those types of conversations. I stay away from them. And that's just my prerogative. So this idea that I heard in my meeting about how do we end up being taken advantage of, I think goes back to maybe people pleasing, wanting everyone to be happy and avoiding conflict and needing approval ourselves. I also think that fear of disappointing people, um, fear of people thinking that I'm selfish, or fear of rejection. Like all of these things, I think, lead me down the road of being taken advantage of. And I have to consider and balance m- good intentions with acceptance and recognizing, like being self-aware to know, like, I'm not just not participating in someone's um, conflicting opinions because I just want them to be happy and I don't want to upset them. It is truly because of me, because I don't enjoy being in those types of conversations. I do genuinely want the best for everyone. I do, believe it or not. I do. But sometimes I need to be a little selfish and put my values and and acknowledge, like, where do I thrive and where don't I? So even though I genuinely want the best, I need to put my oxygen mask on first. Um, so building a resentment, that's sometimes hard to stay away from when that boundary alarm goes up. Um, Sometimes if somebody pushes past that boundary, because that's reality, I can build a resentment about it. Um, and then I'm going to build a resentment because I end up crossing. the boundary into people pleasing and not wanting to disappoint, wanting the other person to say, to be happy. Like I overextend myself and put myself in the conversation, silently hoping that the conversation will end. And then I become frustrated when it doesn't. So resentment is really an abandonment of my own needs. I'm abandoning that hard line of acceptance with boundaries. Um, Acceptance and recovery for me in sobriety, what I've learned is I can't control people. I'm learning, I'm still learning where my responsibility, where my role ends, where my side of the street ends, and stop trying to manage everyone else's life. Drunk Rachel would have participated in Facebook discussions that I do not thrive in because I'm starting to try to clean someone else's side of the street and I need to stay on my side, and not try to manage everyone else's life and everyone else's opinions. I need to accept, for me, I need to accept before I engage. I can't engage and then say, oh, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I've done that. I've gone down that road a million times. We're going to have to agree to disagree. Usually when things are heated, um, what my experience has been is the other person, I've actually had somebody say to me, no, like we have to, I say, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree. No, I'm not going to agree to that. And I'm like, well, you don't have a choice. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, you don't have a choice because I'm not agreeing. I'm going to disagree. Like, you can't change me. You can't change my opinion. But it's funny, it can be funny if I approach it with the right attitude. In stroke recovery, acceptance for me has been accepting my limitations that I didn't choose and I don't like, but I don't have to like it. It doesn't mean when I accept something that I don't like, it doesn't mean that I'll never be joyful again. I went to a joy workshop recently with one of my neighbors, and well, a bunch of my neighbors, but one of my neighbors who's also an author in my authors club, she led a workshop, a 4-week workshop on joy. And I learned in that workshop about how I can accept things I don't like and still be joyful and still surface joy. Because acceptance isn't giving up on my life. It's working with my limitations instead of fighting against them. And of course, the same principles apply to relationships and stroke recovery. It gets challenging. Like I keep having these new complications that get added in my life to acceptance, but I really feel grateful that I was introduced to my adversities in my life in the order that I was and in the timing that I was, because I keep learning how to accept a little more, even though I don't necessarily like some of these things. It's funny because I had to accept that I was an alcoholic, and over time, I became a grateful recovering alcoholic. I remember being in meetings in the beginning for the first few years and hearing people introduce themselves. I'm Rachel. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic. And I was like, grateful? Are you freaking kidding me? You know, this is terrible. This is terrible that I'm an alcoholic. But I don't feel like it's terrible anymore. I'm actually grateful that I've been released from that those chains of alcohol and that I'm able to see the beauty in life in a way that I never could before. Side note, I was walking my dog, Autumn. I was walking Autumn down to the beach 2 days ago, and it was early in the morning and it was still cool outside. And when I got down to the beach, there was one woman sitting on the beach in a shaded spot. In the morning, there's shade on the beach and only in the morning. So she was sitting in the shaded spot with her son, her little son, and he had on a little white bucket hat, and she had on this beachy white like button down cover up, and I have a point. And they were having a snack on this one of those like eclectic looking cotton blankets, um, bohemian kind of looking blankets. And they were just sitting side by side, very peacefully, looking on to the water. And it was just quiet. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I thought, I want to paint that. That's what I thought. And I stood there for several minutes and contemplated how freaky it would be if I approached her and asked to take a picture of the back of them looking out at the water on the beach. And finally, I was like, what do I have to lose? So I walked over there and I was like, excuse me. And she turned around like with this very bright face. And I said, I have a strange question or something like that. And she was like, no questions are strange. And I was like, or I said, I have a weird favor to ask or something like that. She said, no, no, no questions are weird or something. I said, can I take a picture of you guys exactly the way that you are? And I don't have to take pictures of your face or anything like that. But this picture of you guys together looking out into the water is exceptional, and I want to paint it. And so she was just flabbergasted. I mean, she was so excited, and I got her number and sent her the pictures. Like I took several pictures. The little boy came over and said hi to Autumn, who was on her best behavior. Mind you, she did want some of the little boy's snacks, but but it was such a great little experience. And it turns out that her parents had just moved to the neighborhood like 5 days prior. And I told her a little bit. I mean, she asked me if this was my job. And I said, no. I should have said yes because it is, right? I'm in full-time recovery. Like this is my job. I look for beautiful things and I do crafts. Um, But maybe I'll change my answer next time I'm in this situation, if I ever am. Maybe it will end up being my job and I'm going to make millions with it. Anyway, I said, I'm learning how to paint. I'm just new at painting, and this picture of you too is just beautiful. It's beautiful. And so she was just so grateful that I took the picture of them and I sent it to her phone. I had several pictures, and it was just great. But this is the stuff that I never in a million years would believe that I would do. That's not me, you know? But I have so much compassion for people and the ability to understand people right where they are. And what I thought that led me to have the courage, I guess, it didn't take a lot of courage, but it did take a lot of thoughtfulness to be like, is this okay? Is the idea that I've been in that exact situation. I've been the mom with my beautiful son sitting side by side while he's snacking, and I miss it. You know, I miss sitting there. I remember my son, he also had a little bucket hat. And I thought, what I wouldn't give for somebody to come up and take a picture of us, you know, and say they were going to paint us. Are you kidding me? And that's why I did it. That's why I went up and took a picture, because she's only going to have that memory from where she was sitting. How about I give her a memory of what it looked like to the world, her and her son sitting there. Um, so it's just this idea of acceptance. You can tell I've gone from acceptance through the idea of having boundaries, you know, to avoiding resentments, and now coming to this place of gratitude. That's where acceptance can lead you. That's where it left me. It has left me in a place of being able to revisit gratitude whenever I want. So acceptance has been one of the greatest gifts of my recovery. It has taught me to stop fighting reality, people, and circumstances that are out of my control. Emotional sobriety is made up of so all the steps of the program, but it includes um I just forgot what I was saying. Isn't that weird? Okay, I'm back because I was like, what am I talking about? That's how it happens. The brain fog, the cognitive deficit from my stroke. I'll be in the middle of a sentence and it's just gone. It just disappears. So that's why I have a little outline to come back to, because it just happens like that. It's so bizarre. Okay. So I trailed off, but here I am again. Emotional sobriety comes from all the steps, but it makes up, like, some of the things that are translated out of the steps are self-respect, self-awareness. Um, gosh, I mean, I can't go on right now because my brain is starting to do its little hiccups, but emotional sobriety comes out of all of this. It's a journey. It's a journey, and it's to go back to my original statement about, I looked on the poster that had all the steps, and they were little simple sentences that ended with a period. And there's so much that was introduced to me, but I had to start with step one. I had to start with admitting that my life was unmanageable. And from that, starting to practice acceptance. And it's not like I just decided one day, okay, I'm just gonna accept this. It's not, it didn't work like that. It was constant practice. And what am I willing to do about it? I accept what's going on in my life right now. I accept reality. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to participate in my life despite the stuff that I'm accepting and I don't like? And that's where serenity started to grow. Is inside inside those micro decisions, knowing that as life kept going by, that I was starting to make a difference in my own life just by practicing these principles over and over and over again. So that was really an interesting topic for me. So I hope that you got something out of it. And thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you next time.